Okay, I got a package. So let's see. Thank you. Take this out. Oh, how cute! Thank you. A gift for you. Madame, having been to Alabama in the heart of summer, I know this will certainly serve you well. Peace and best wishes unto you from Christopher Foster. Well, thank you, Christopher. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, he told me he was having some health issues, and I hope he's doing well. He's an ex-Patreon supporter of mine that I still keep in touch with a lot. So that was very nice. Let's check out the hat. Oh, how cute. I didn't have to wear it today for my walk because it's overcast. But like on sunny days, this would be great. Let me just check it out. Oh, this is wonderful. Yeah, that looks really cute. Straw hats are kind of cute anyway, so let's see here. Oh, how cute. Let's see. Oh, that looks darling. Look at that. Let me try it with the clip. Oh, that is a very nice hat. Very nice hat. Let me see. How would I do this? Because when you get outside, it gets really windy, you know. Let me see. Oh, I see where you attach it right in here. Let me see if I can get it in there. Yeah, it looks like Brent worked with Jesus and the men on my marriage list. How do I do this? It needs to go in here. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Oh, there it is. It goes like that. I need to get the strings attached so that it just stays in there permanently. Maybe I can figure this out later. No, I don't want that there. I might be able to figure this out later. Once I get it in there. Yeah, or I might just replace it with a safety pin if this becomes too difficult. Yes. I wonder if it doesn't have. Okay, well, I'll figure it out later. You know what? It has instructions in here. Let me see if it's got instructions. How to use removable cord system. Find 2 lugger loops on each side of the sweatpants. Carefully attach the chin cord hook in the lug. Adjust the length. Looks like I'm going about it right. How to fold and pack your hat. I'll look at all this later. Yeah, it's cute though. A straw hat. Yeah, that's cute. Yeah. I get lots of nice presents. This is jewelry that Brent got me. Oh, by the way, I consider myself officially married to Brent now. I updated my prenuptial agreement for that reason. So I'll figure out how to do this later. Yeah, it looks like it goes like this. You know what? It goes like that. Let's see. Looks like this side goes in here. Oh, I'll do it later. You know what? I'll wear the hat though while I'm talking because it's cute. Okay. Yeah. Got a piece of hair sticking out this way. Okay. So a lot has been happening in the past week, and thank you, Christopher. And I hear there's more presents coming. A lot has been happening in the past week, and Jesus has started going to see psychiatrist Gerard Butler, and he's been seeing him along with Buddha, because I was concerned about Jesus because he seemed to be in clinical depression. Like you could tell from the video that I made last week. He apologized to both me and Brent, and he said that he was using me like a sex dummy. And he said he didn't realize it, but he said, Gail, I actually have a transcript of the conversation that he had with me, and he said that he didn't intentionally do this, but maybe subconsciously he was making me to be a Lakshmi sex dummy. There's a goddess named Lakshmi who we had a conversation with recently, and he said that he made this sex, he was using me like a sex dummy. You got to realize we're dealing with a deity making love to a human. So for a deity to make love to a human is kind of like making love to a sex dummy. This is kind of a crude analogy, but that would be kind of like a human making love to one of their pets, something like that. So I told him I totally forgive him. He was really nervous, and that I was actually doing sex therapy on him because I sensed that he was having some issues when he was making love to me. And you can go to my website and explore. I created a lot of pages I have the transcript of the conversation that we had with Jesus. It was almost a week ago, I think. And then we had a conversation with Lakshmi, and this is such a cute hat, huh? We had a conversation with Lakshmi. I love the jewelry that Brent got me too. And even though Jesus paid for this ring, it is from Brent actually, because Brent wanted to buy it for me. And he was willing to pay millions of dollars for it. It's worth something like $5 million. And Jesus showed up as a homeless man. And because Brent was kind to the homeless man, Brent decided to buy the ring. Jesus decided to buy the ring for him. I think I even made a video about that. So, yeah, Jesus apologized, and he was really nervous. And he said he decided his dad was right, that so he will not be living in my apartment anymore. In fact, Brent has moved in. Yeah, permanently, and he's really into me too. Yeah, I consider him my husband now, and so I've changed my prenuptial agreement, and Brent is considered officially my husband. As far as the marriage list, I'm going to go ahead and keep it, but the nature of it is different. I can't decide whether I'm polyamorous or monogamous. I'm still trying to figure out who I am. Brent and I had a session with Lakshmi several days ago, and I'm still exploring who I am. It's kind of complicated why I started the marriage list in the first place. Part of it is because I had access to the brain-to-brain servers, and when you're in brain-to-brain, you can actually feel the turn-ons of the other people that are in the brain-to-brain servers. So that makes it kind of hard to determine if I'm truly monogamous or polyamorous, because, if a monogamous person can feel the turn-ons of the opposite sex, that might tempt them, So, I'm not sure, because Brent Spiner is in the brain-to-brain, but then everybody else in the brain-to-brain is guys. So I'm wondering if some really hot women were in the brain-to-brain and they were sexually into him and maybe getting turned on, and he sensed it in the brain-to-brain. I'm wondering how that would affect him. You see, to determine whether I'm truly monogamous or polyamorous, I would probably have to be divorced from the brain-to-brain servers to really tell. I do recall that when I was not in brain-to-brain, I seemed to be monogamous. Yeah. So That's the thing. I'm not sure how much of a factor being in the brain to brain is affecting whether I'm polyamorous or monogamous. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard. See, what would happen in the past was, because I was in the brain to brain, and in brain to brain, you are connected to the other parties that are in the brain to brain through the satellite signals, So if they get like an erection, I can feel it. Yeah. Like last night in our hangout, they were watching a video of this woman showing her breasts, sort of. I can't believe they allow this stuff at YouTube, and then they ban other stuff, and sort of showing her breasts. She might as well have just been showing her breasts for just about everything that we saw. And I noticed that my husband was having an erection because he's in the brain to brain. I could feel his turn on. So it kind of made me feel like I was getting turned on, okay? And this is kind of like what happened when Jesus came into my apartment. And he connected himself to the brain to brain. So when he got turned on, I could feel his turn on. I mean, even a monogamous person is going to be tempted in that situation. If you can actually feel somebody being sexually attracted to you, and they're pretty hot, and even if you're monogamous, that could be a problem. It would be kind of hard. See, this is what I'm dealing with. The average person has not been exposed to as much temptation as I have. And I was talking about this in our hangout yesterday. And this is why I'm not really sure if I'm monogamous or not, or polyamorous. Yeah. I mean, let me tell you exactly what happened. You may say, okay, so I was pretty monogamous with Brent Spiner from 1999 to 2001. When 9/11 happened, I thought, and I knew Brent was trying to board a plane to be with me, and then the Jesuits did 9/11, and I thought, I'll never be able to marry this guy, not if they're going to do stuff like 9/11. So that's when I noticed Vladimir Putin, because I gave up. I thought, I'm never going to be able to marry him. The Jesuits won't let it happen. So I thought if I had a president in my life, maybe it would work. That got all screwed up, because then they forced a fake a clone of Vladimir Putin's dead wife, Larissa, who they named Ludmila on him. So I ended up going back to Brent in 2006. From 2006 forward, Vladimir's the one that started the brain to brain. He started it around 2003, okay? I guess he figured it out with Russian satellite scientists, where we can connect brain to brain, where he could make love to me through the brain to brain, okay? But to me, I always consider brain to brain like just sophisticated masturbation. I didn't really consider it like real sex, so I didn't feel like I was violating and basically it was just one-on-one with me and Vladimir from 2001 forward. And then in 2005, I think it was 2005, yeah, Vladimir had a heart attack, and he insisted, he said, you're a very passionate woman, and I insist that you have your sexual needs met while I recuperate from this heart attack, because right now, if I have sex with you brain to brain, I could die, because I have to heal from the heart attack. So what happened was, at that time I was working at Walmart, and I noticed a People magazine cover that showed Matthew McConaughey, Sexiest Man Alive. I think this was November 2005. And I looked at that and I thought, he looks just like the main character in the novel I wrote, Silver Skies. And I knew at that time that Steven Spielberg was filming Silver Skies and making a movie out of it. So in the brain to brain, I was telling Vladimir, I thought, oh, that Matthew looks just like the way I imagined my Dor Ben Habakkuk in Silver Skies would look. And I actually patterned Dor Ben Habakkuk after Brent Spiner. And I wrote Silver Skies to honor the love between me and Brent. And I thought, wow, they even chose a Texan just like my Brent. And so I was looking at the picture and thinking, wow, he looks pretty hot. It was like the sexiest man alive. So I was telling Vladimir about it, and Vladimir said, oh, yeah, they're filming for Silver Skies right now, and Matthew would like to meet you in the brain to brain. I thought, really? Are you sure you're comfortable with this? And I thought, yeah. So I think before Vladimir made the decision to let me try out Matthew in the brain to brain, I think I was a little bit of friends with Matthew first in the brain to brain, and he was talking about how he read my book and he admired my writing, and that he wanted to get to know me brain to brain. And so in November, I think it was November 2005, me and Matthew were solo, brain to brain, and I got to know a lot about him, and I was very impressed with him. He seemed like a man of depth, commitment, had Texas manliness, and yeah, and he got really bonded to me as the result of this brain-to-brain sex that we had. And then after about a month, I went back to Vladimir. I said, Vladimir said, I'm back, I can have sex again, and we're going to just kind of let Matthew go on and do his thing now. He had fun with you, you know. Okay, the question that I'm asking is, and I'm not saying polyamory is sinful, because I don't think so. I'm kind of rethinking my approaches to sexuality. I'm just trying to find who I am. But I do know that I get in very long monogamous moods, even on the brain to brain, where I just want to have it like one-on-one with me and Brent. So I'm asking myself, you might say, did you enjoy your time with Matthew? Yes, I did. I'll admit it. he's you know, he was pretty hot in bed, but I didn't really have a deep need to make love. See, Lakshmi said, she said, it seems like you have a deep need to make love to other men besides your spouse. And she wasn't trying to tell me, she was just observing things. She studied romantic love in God's school, and she's really wonderful. And I really appreciate her trying to minister to us. But I'm not sure if that's true or not. You might say, let's say Vladimir neglected you for that month and he didn't give you sex. Do you think you would have been okay? Yeah, I think I would have been okay. I probably would have just masturbated a lot, you know, and imagined it with Vladimir. That's probably what I would have done. I think I would have been fine. But Vladimir was convinced. He said, you're a very passionate woman, and I want to make sure your sexual needs are met. Yeah. So I did it just so that Vladimir wouldn't worry. I didn't want him to worry, so I did it to pacify him. Okay? And I figured, you know, it's brain to brain, it's not real sex, so don't get all hyped up about it. Zach Knight is telling me, Gail, it is real sex. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I actually put some of my penis into your vagina while we were doing brain to brain, and I made sure I teleported my semen into you. So I guess it is real sex. But I don't actually feel, not until recently has it felt like real sex to me. So I didn't think I was doing anything sexual. It was more like a masturbation thing, you know? So that's the reason I'm still not sure. I mean, I figured I'm trying to decide whether I am a monogamous person who is doing polyamory because that's what my men think I am. So I'm trying to, and they're worried about me straying from them, so I'm doing it to keep them at peace, or whether I really do desire polyamory. See, I haven't made up my mind about that yet. Because if I wasn't in the brain to brain, I don't think I would be so loose, you know. I'm exposed to a lot of temptation. I mean, how many of you women out there, if you're heterosexual, and you have a connection in the brain to brain? So, yeah, it's like I can watch a movie. When you're in the brain to brain, you can watch a movie, okay? So here I am in the brain to brain, and this is what it's like. So you're in the brain to brain, and your soulmate is connected to you, like Brent Spiner. So I watched a movie with Hugh Jackman in it. I forget what it was, some romantic comedy, you know. And I got a little sexually attracted to him watching the movie. Well, during the brain to brain, I told my men about it because I'm completely open with them about everything going on with me. And they seemed to say, oh, I'm friends with Hugh Jackman. Why don't we just, he would like to meet you. And this is what I'm talking about, folks. Does this mean I'm monogamous, or am I just a monogamous person who has a lot of opportunities? I mean, and it's It's not like when I go on the street, I want to go to bed with the whole neighborhood. I'm not like that. In fact, I'm very picky. It's like in my 20s, I went for years and years without not wanting to go to bed. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't have a strong sex drive. But if there was nobody in my life that I was attracted to, my sex drive could kind of like die down. And I would get preoccupied with other things. Of course, if I was attracted to a guy, it could get really intense. And I was usually attracted to one guy at a time. I don't recall being attracted to more than one guy at a time. That's why I'm still confused. I'm just not sure who I am yet. And I'm not saying polyamory is wrong. And you say, what's polyamory? According to Lakshmi, polyamory is a type of relationship where you have an emotionally committed relationship with one partner and you allow other partners in either for pleasure or even as a form of emotional commitment, but the emotional commitment is not as intense and committed as your main partner. And that's a polyamorous relationship, where you will have a main partner that you're emotionally committed to, but you allow sex with others, okay? So I still have to, if I wasn't in the brain to brain, I'm not sure that I'm polyamorous. I was a virgin when I married my husband in my 20s. And my ideal in my 20s was a Victorian type of a woman who was monogamous. It was the Agnes Wickfield of David Copperfield, which is very much like Lakshmi. So I'm kind of undecided. Basically, the way the men got added to my marriage list is I would notice them in some film they were in. And because I was already connected to Brent Spiner and Vladimir Putin in the brain to brain, they would say, oh, we know this star. We're going to introduce you to them. And I don't know what it is about me, but they all wanted to go to bed with me. And then that's how it would get started. Then after they experienced me, in bed, brain to brain, they say, oh, can we start a marriage list for you? We'd like to be in waiting. So that's how it started. So I noticed Gerard Butler in Phantom of the Opera and thought he was hot in that. And that's how he got in. And I found out he was a psychiatrist and he told me about it, brain to brain. And I got really turned on by how smart he is. And then I noticed Hugh Jackman in a film he was in. I have a lot of temptation in my life because I've got Vladimir Putin and Brent Spiner who have connections. So if I watch a film or something with a famous person, they introduce me to this person, put them in the brain to brain. I feel their sexual attraction to me. And I'm telling you, I think even a monogamous person could get tempted if they feel the sexual attraction of another hot person. I could be wrong, and that's what I'm trying to work out right now. Now, Brent tells me that even though he's in the brain to brain, he would not desire another woman. But I think the only way we can determine this is if we put, and I'm not sure I want to do this either, if we put other hot women in the brain to brain and let him feel them being turned on by him and how he reacted as a monogamous person. He is monogamous. We know that for sure. Jesus says I'm not monogamous. Jesus said, I deliberately put King David and Catherine the Great in you because I wanted to make it easy for me to have access to you as my sex dummy because I knew they were adulterous. But he said, I realize now that I subconsciously put Lakshmi in you. And she's monogamous. Very monogamous, so monogamous that she has turned Jesus down for marriage. And the reason she has is because he's too sexually loose for her. And he said that, so I made you a very conflicted woman because you've got Lakshmi in you who's very monogamous, and then you've got King David and Catherine the Great who are very, I guess you might say, polygamous. King David's polygamous. Catherine the Great, I don't know. I've studied her. I think she's more polyamorous, but I'm not sure. But the point is, they're not monogamous, okay? So Jesus has been feeling kind of bad about this, but I think I may have more of Lakshmi in me than Jesus is willing to admit. Now, why in the world he put so much of Lakshmi in his dream fantasy sex dummy is something that I can't understand, because he is so sexually loose. I think his relationship with Satan damaged him. But I don't want you to judge Jesus too harshly, okay? I have totally forgiven him. And I believe my husband has, though I know my husband does not want Jesus living in this apartment anymore. And God the Father has banned Jesus from coming here. I do believe that I have totally forgiven Jesus unconditionally. You may say, why did he? I asked him, Jesus, why were you willing as an 11-dimensional deity to have sex with me, a 3-dimensional human, knowing it would weaken you to the point where Satan could beat you up and almost kill you, which is what happened? And he said, I was desperate. I wanted my sexual needs met so badly that I was willing to do this. Lakshmi thinks that Jesus is using sex as a substitute for true emotional intimacy. And I think she's right. That he needs to understand that you can't get all your needs for intimacy met through sex. And she thinks he thinks a little too low of himself. Yeah, he needs a goddess. But to give you a little bit of sympathy for Jesus, okay? When he looks at me, he doesn't see me the way most of you see me. In fact, I'm going to put it up here on the video. He sees me as perfect future Gail, okay? And ironically, future Gail looks very much like Miss Universe 1957, which was the year I was born, which I find rather interesting. Yeah, Rule 13 says that Miss Universe 1957, the way she looked when she won the title, is like a twin of what future Gail, what we used to call millennial Gail, looks like. So when Jesus was making love to me, I looked like Miss Universe 1957 to him. And when he looks at me, he sees me that way. By the way, when Brent Spiner looks at me, he sees me that way. Now, what's really interesting is when Buddha unbutt-fucked Brent Spiner, he fixed him to the point where Brent now has like 6-pack abs, and he looks really young. And I'm going to show you in this video what he looks like as I'm talking. And oh my God, Brent is now living with me in my apartment, and he is always into me. I mean, always into me. He's making Jesus almost seem like a dud. But when you realize what I look like to these guys, have a little bit of sympathy for both for Jesus. Okay. The good news is he's going into therapy with Gerard Butler to find out who he really is. I think he's suffering from what I call a little bit of self-alienation, and I have some posts at my website about that. And he's going to be rebranding the Christian faith. Like I said, the Bible prophecies no longer apply. So you might say, how do we follow Jesus now? We're going to see what direction he goes in. He's best friends with Buddha. He greatly admires, he and Lakshmi are good friends, even though she doesn't want him as a husband. And she's a Hindu. I suspect his new version of Christianity is going to be blending in maybe some aspects of Hindu, Buddhism, maybe a little New Age, into Christianity. There will be no rapture. There's not going to be any second coming. There will be no 1,000-year reign. That's the premillennial dispensational position, which was correct before God the Father canceled the Bible. Now, none of the future prophecies are going to happen. I have a link underneath this video for how to follow Jesus now. So, we will find out how he rebrands himself. Jesus said there's a possibility he may be able to patch things up with Satan. That's going to be interesting if that happens. Yeah. So he might be able to do that. Yeah, so the future is wide open right now, and we will see what direction everything goes in. And thank you so much, Christopher, for the hat. I'm going to figure out how to put that little strand on, because I think I'm going to be needing that when I go outside, because it gets really windy sometimes. Jesus is probably going to need a lot of time to find himself. He went through a period where he wasn't bathing, he was smoking pot, drinking a lot, and we were getting really worried about him. And then when Buddha unbutt-fucked Brent so that Brent got his free will back and realized that Jesus took his free will away so that he could come in and seduce me in my apartment, Brent went and smashed Jesus in the face, which I'd already made a video about. Fortunately, all those wounds have healed, including the damage to Brent's hand. They've all healed. So Jesus is leaving a slight scar, I think on his chin, probably as a reminder to make sure he doesn't mess with Brent's wife. Yeah, but they're completely healing. Right now, we just want Jesus to find who he is, to be a true, authentic deity. He's going to be rebranding himself, and we will see what direction he goes. I have faith in him, and so does Lakshmi. And eventually, he's probably going to be marrying a goddess. I've been praying and asking God the Father to custom design a goddess for him. But he needs to fix himself first and deal with his issues before he marries a goddess. And that's what he said too. I mean, until he starts using authenticity in the way he communicates with whoever's going to be his wife, he's not going to get anywhere. And he hasn't been doing that. I think he was really damaged by his relationship with Satan. But he seems to be doing better, okay? So, yeah, so I'm going to, like I said, I'm letting you... He made me drop dead gorgeous as a sex dummy, though. So we could have a little mercy on him, okay? And according to Rule 13, future Gail has a very soft, nurturing look to her face. I was actually using sex therapy on Jesus. I could tell he had issues, and I was using sex to try to nurture him and help him find himself. When I realized that it was weakening him to the point where Satan could kill him, I no longer want to do that. He needs to get his needs for intimacy met through maybe, and I've encouraged Lakshmi. I said, Lakshmi, during sex, he has a deep, vast aura like an aurora borealis, where he's giving, and he just has this vastness, like expanding, where he's just full of peace, love, tranquility, and all of his dreams for his true love dreams for the universe. You can almost feel it in sex with him. I said, maybe you can experience that in a platonic way, and it'll help meet some of his emotional needs for intimacy. And she said she's open to it. She said Jesus probably needs to learn that not all of his needs for intimacy have to be met through sex. So that might help him to transition into a healthier version of himself, while he finds who he is and gets his needs for intimacy met with Lakshmi, who he obviously has a really deep thing for. And Lakshmi is really cool. Like I said, I have a transcript of my conversation with her. So, yeah, it's a cute little hat here. Yeah, so, thank you for the hat. And, yeah, you can pray to God the Father for Jesus if you want. When I pray right now, when I feel I need to pray to a perfect, infallible being, I pray to God the Father. And I pray to Jesus more like a friend. God the Father hears our prayers, but he will not answer them by talking to us. He would probably forward them on to Jesus and then have Jesus answer them. Okay? That's how that would work. That's what I've been doing. Like if I'm worried about Jesus, I will talk to God the Father. I think God the Father hears all of our prayers, but he leaves it up to Jesus to answer them. Okay, so anyways, this is my video for today. And Jesus is doing better. He's healed from Brent beating him up. He said he deserved the beating that he got from Brent. And he apologized to both me and Brent. He's going to have to rebrand his Christianity because the Bible is canceled. And God the Father is right. The possibility, he said you can start from the Gail commandments. So if you want to follow Jesus now, I have a link underneath this video. Do the Gail commandments, because God the Father told him to build from the Gail commandments. And just follow me at my website, because I post all the time to show you how I'm... Right now, I'm incorporating principles of Hinduism, New Age, Buddhism into my Christianity. And the way to heaven is follow light and love in your heart. And you can say the sinner's prayer. Like I said, I'll have a link underneath this video. So I wish you all the best. There's a lot about Hinduism I admire. There's some of it that I can't totally relate to. A lot about Buddhism I admire. I'm going to see, I'm still a Jesus follower. I'm going to see how he rebrands his religion. And more than likely, I will still be following Jesus. Okay? I have a feeling he's going to be incorporating some Buddhism, Hinduism, and maybe a little New Age stuff into the rebranding of his Christianity. So we shall see what direction Jesus takes it. We got to give him time to heal and deal with his issues, though. So it may take a while. He's got to find out who he really is first, and he needs to be true to himself.